Anyway, starting on green. Okay, starting with Airship Crash, which is a 3-mana, destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying, and it has cycling. I don't hate this card, but only because it has cycling on it. I still don't think cards like this are ever very good, but you might want to have one of them in case there is an artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying that is scary. Maybe in this set, 2, because there are so many artifacts, or there's a big sort of artifact support package for white and red. So maybe you do end up running, or I mean, maybe you just leave these in your sideboard, and after you lose your first game of draft or sealed or whatever you're in, you just put like 2 or 3 of these into your deck and just keep blowing up the artifacts, maybe. Because at worst, you can just discard and draw, which is fine. Ancient Adamantoise is a 8-mana 8/20 with Vigilance and Ward. Damage isn't removed from this creature during cleanup steps. Okay. All damage that will be dealt to you and other permanents you control is dealt to this guy instead. Right? When this creature dies, exile it and create 10 tapped treasure tokens. This guy has to be good, right? He is huge. He will probably kill anything he swings into. He will eventually die, but while he's on the field, you don't have to care about your opponent swinging back on you. Right? Because, so, damage is all dealt at exactly the same time, right? So, if you swing with this, and your opponent, like, you swing with this, and a whole bunch of your creatures, your opponent does some blocks, this takes 10 damage or whatever, and they lose, like, 2 creatures. They swing back, they could do 10 damage and kill the Adamantoise, or they could do 150 damage. It would still only kill the Adamantoise, right? Because damage is dealt at the exact same time. So it gives you essentially a turn where you say, I don't care, get slapped. Because you just play this turn everybody. And then all damage dealt to everyone is dealt to him. And then all damage that will be dealt to you on the backswing is dealt to him. And he's got Vigilance. So he can't attack first turn. He doesn't get to attack. But, I mean, on the swing, your opponent's creature probably gets eaten, right? I think in Limited, this guy's really good. Also, it's an 8/20. It's just huge. Stats matter in Limited. Sadly, it does still die to Overkill. But I think everything on the planet dies to Overkill. So we'll take it. Plus, when he does die, you get 10 treasures, which maybe there's an X spell that you just dump 10 treasures into and just blast, but I like this guy. I think this guy's cool. Balam T. Rexar is a 6-mana 6/6 with trample, and when he enters, you gain 3 life, and he's got forest cycling. Again, these cycling cards, you probably just run like 1 or 2, just because they've got cycling. So if they're trapped in your hand, you just cycle them and you don't care. This is also one of the battle ones, because it's a 6/6 for 6 with trample, and it heals you. But yeah, you just run like 1 or 2 of these because it's got forest cycling and you don't really care. At worst, they're a forest when you need it. At best, they're a 6/6 trample, gain 3 life for 6. So, yeah. Bard's Bow. Hey, I never played Bard again, but Bard's a cool class. 3 mana for a 3/3 with reach and is a Bard. Yep. I would play that, that's fine. 3 mana for a 3/3 with reach. Totally fine. And later you can equip it to something. But, I mean, I like these job select cards that just make a creature that is worth whatever the cost of it. Like, that's totally fine. Bartz and Boko. Okay. So it's a 5-mana 4/3 with affinity for birds. We know we can make birds because we can make bird tokens in red. So there's probably red-green is like landfall birds, I guess. But yeah, so this is... I mean, maybe it's not a 5-mana. Maybe this is like a 3 or a 4-mana 4/3. And when they enter, each other bird you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature and opponent controls. So this is possibly removal as well. I mean, say you've got 2 of the tokens, so you've got 2/2 bird tokens. This is 3 mana for a 4/3 and deal 4 damage to something. That's good. Like, if you have the birds to support this, this is good. I just don't know how many birds there are. Because again, if we just go by green, there hasn't been any birds. And the only bird, I mean, it's all the way at the back end of red. But yeah, the only bird we know about is that the two... There's a burn spell that costs X and makes a bird. And there's a spell that there's a spell that fetches a mountain and puts it in your hand and gets you a bird. Like, I don't know, sure. Blitzball Shot. 2 mana for... creature gets +3/+3 and gains trample. Yeah, pretty standard buff spell. Cactar, a 1 mana 3/3 with trample. At the beginning of your end step, if this creature didn't enter the battlefield this turn, return it to its owner's hand. Okay. So, you play this on turn 1. It's a 3/3 with trample. Your opponent's turn. They probably just don't do anything. Your turn. Swing for 3. Play something else. This goes back to your hand. Then your opponent's turn 2. I don't know, maybe they play something. Your turn 3. Play this. It's a 3/3 blocker. So you could attack with the creature you played on your turn 2, and you don't have to worry about the creature your opponent played on their turn 2, because if they swing, you probably just block with this. Or maybe it's just big enough to eat whatever your opponent played. I don't hate it. I don't love it either. It's interesting. I guess if there's stuff that cares about creatures entering, this can always re-enter over and over again, but... Chocobo Kick. 2 mana, Kicker, return a land you control to its owner's hand. Target creature you control deals damage equal to power to target creature. If this spell was kicked, it deals twice that much damage instead. So again, if landfall is a thing, the Kicker is actually a benefit. If you're not doing landfall stuff, then it slows you down for a turn, but I don't know how much that's going to matter. I mean, this is removal. You take it, right? You just take the removal. At worst, it's a fight or deal damage equal to. At best, it is kill something, bounce a land, replay a land, trigger landfall. Woo. Chocobo Racetrack. 5 mana for an artifact with landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, create a 2/2 green bird token with whenever a land you control enters. So, with this, all of your landfall, all of your lands, everything like this that bounces a land suddenly becomes really good. But this is turn 5. Right? So, really, hopefully, there's a better way to do landfall before turn 5. Because I think at this, by the time you get to turn 5, being able to make a 2/2 bird bird creature token every turn is not particularly exciting. I mean, in limited, maybe it is, because then you never have a bad draw. Because if you draw a land, you still get a 2/2. But assuming you play this on turn 5, and assuming you haven't ramped, and you don't have any treasures or anything, This turn 5 is tap 5, play Chocobo Racetrack, please don't hurt me. Right? Because this does nothing when it comes in. You don't make a bird, it doesn't do anything unless you play the land. So if you play this, so if the earliest you can get this down is turn 5, your turn 5 is play this card, pray your opponent doesn't fucking kick your head in. Which, it's just too slow. 5 mana makes it really slow. I mean, maybe it's still doable. Maybe the limited format is slow enough. But looking at all of the, like, red-white aggro equipment stuff, I can see you getting absolutely fucking murdered by turn 5 or 6. Or, like, the blue players are just going to be casting big spells that buff all of their things. And the black players are going to have, like, 3 or 4 gutter snipes worth of wizards at this point and just start playing removal and just pinging you down. Like, turn 5 for this, and it doesn't do anything when you play it. It's just kind of bad. I mean, I'd probably play it, but I'd also definitely lose because I had to wait until turn 5 before playing a good card. Or playing a card that starts doing landfall things. You'd need to have a lot of landfall things, and then probably some ramp, and then play this on like turn 3. Maybe, before it's really good. Clash of the Icons is 1 mana, fight, sure, remove a lore counter from a saga, sure, or put a lore counter on a saga. You probably just take this as a fight effect. I don't think you care about anything else. Colosseum Behemoth. I'm not saying removing the lore counters or putting the lore counters is pointless, and it's good that this has the modes. I'm just saying 9 times out of 10, you are taking this for the fight effect over anything else. Right, anyway. Colosseum Behemoth is a 7 mana 7/7 with trample that when it enters, destroy an artifact or enchantment or draw a card. I like this. Just 7 mana for a 7/7 with trample, draw a card. That's good. I'll take that every day of the week. Commune with Beavers. Sure. 1 mana, look at the top 3 cards, reveal an artifact, creature, or land, put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library. I generally don't care for these cards. I generally just would prefer to have the artifact, creature, or land. But, sure. I know some people, I know these are sometimes pretty good. Diamond Weapon is a 9 mana 8/8. The spell costs 1 less to cast for each permanent card in your graveyard. Okay, so probably more like a 6 or 7 mana 8/8 with reach and immune, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to Diamond Weapon. Okay. I mean, it's a good thing to spend a lot of mana on. It has reach, so your opponent can't just fly over it. And because it's immune to combat damage, you can kind of just attack with it or block with it as much as you want without having to worry about it. This is probably just good. This is probably just big enough, right? It's just thick, and that just makes it a problem to deal with, especially in limited. I mean, if your opponent has a removal spell, they'll just blow it up, but sure, I think this is good. Earth Crystal. Right. 4 mana, green cards cost 1 less. If 1 or more +1/+1. Oh, it's doubling season. It's not just doubling season. Doubling season does tokens as well. But it's the counterpart of doubling season. With a way to put +1/+1 counters on creatures built in. Yeah, this is another game-winning card. Of course it is. I mean, doubling season again. This is really good. There's a lot of decks that are going to want this card, I imagine, because like doubling season is double +1/+1 counters, and when you create a token, create twice as many tokens instead. But a lot of decks only care about the +1/+1 stuff realistically. Sure, they'll do some token stuff as well, but their main thing is going to be +1/+1 counters. So this is just better than Doubling Season because it's cheaper and makes all of your green spells cheaper. And doesn't need another card to start doing stuff with +1/+1 counters because it does stuff by itself. Yeah. This card is going to be really good in Commander and probably really good in Limited as well, I imagine. Just because again, stats matter in Limited, so the fact that you just get extra +1, this is definitely going to be. Esper Origins, 2 mana for a sorcery. Surveil 2, gain 2 life. If this spell was cast from your graveyard, exile it, put it onto the battlefield transformed under its owner's control with a finality count. So, for 2 mana, you Surveil 2, gain 2. And then for 4 mana, you Surveil 2, gain 2. And summon Esper... whatever this guy is. He's a 4/4. Reveal... so, when he comes in, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a permanent, put it into your hand. Cool. Turn 2, you get 2 extra green mana and he attacks as a 4/4. Turn 3, other creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain trample. So he's an overrun. So he is also overrun by himself. Usually I wouldn't care for things like this, but I think this is just good enough, right? Something gives you something to do early. Surveil 2, which helps you fix the top of your deck, gain life, so you're not going to die too quickly. And then for 4 mana, get a 4/4 and probably the top card of your library because you surveilled. Get 2 extra mana on your next turn, which means you have at least 6. And then the turn after that, overrun. That's pretty good. I'm a bit biased. I usually like green, but yeah, that's pretty good. Galoose Final Act. 2 mana for an instant. Until end of turn, target creature gets +1/+0 and gains when this creature dies, put a number of +1/+1 counters equal to its power on up to 1 target creature. Yeah, this is good. This is actually a because especially if you've got like the Earth Crystal, this is really good. Because I think this is really good. Because it means that, so you attack with a bunch of creatures, your opponent's block, you make something that wouldn't have killed a creature capable of killing that creature with this, and then when this dies, you get to move a bunch of counters onto one of the creatures that's left, which makes it absolutely massive. Probably. I mean, depending on what you put this on, but... yeah, I like that card. Gigan Toad. 4 mana, 4/4. If you have 7 or more lands, it's a 6/6. Sure. Gobu Gardener is a 2 mana, 1/3 mana nerd. Cool. Grand Pulse Oku is a 1 mana, 1/1 with Death Touch. For 8. Until end of turn, he gets huge for each permanent in your graveyard. I mean, a 1 mana, 1/1 with Death Touch, I will take. You could just place that down on turn 1 and be happy no one's going to be swinging at you. Gistle Greens. These are things that you use to tame your Chocobo and make it fight alongside you in 14. 2 mana, create a 2/2. Drop and flashback, you can create another one. This is totally fine. Jumbo Cactar. Yes, this is the card everyone was memeing about. I did say I have already seen this one because my husband saw it when it was announced and he was trying to explain to me why he thought it was really good. And I explained to him that it's really not. So, right, the problem with this thing is, first of all, it's 7 mana. Secondly, it's got no protection. And finally, it also doesn't have any way of actually going over the top without another card. So, sure, if you have a way to give this trample, it instas your opponent the turn it gets to attack. Absolutely, by a massive amount. But if it survives a turn and you get to attack with it and have a way to give it trample, your opponent was probably dying anyway, right? They're probably hanging on for dear life by, blocking with things. I mean, in limited, it's probably better because your opponent's less likely to have removal. And it is just going to be absolutely massive. But your opponent could just block it with something big enough to kill it because its defense doesn't go any higher. It's still just got 7 toughness. You can kill it. But I saw some funny things because a lot of people were memeing, saying like a bunch of new players were saying this card must be so good, and a bunch of not so new players were just like, no, it's crap. It just is. But I did see someone say, how funny is it going to be when you're playing Commander, you play this guy, you swing with him, and then you Swords to Plowshares your own Jumbo Cactar and gain 10,000 life? And also, if you've got one of the guys that doubles attack triggers, you can attack with this, double the attack trigger to 19,999 attack, and like I said, Swords to Plowshares, and then just be on over 20,000 life, which I like. That is funny. That is very funny, as that is something you can do. But also, like, it's not a good card. But there are some funny things you can do with it. Like Fling, you can also attack with it and Fling after it's got the buff and deal 10,000 damage directly to someone. Like, there are some funny things you can do, but the card itself is not good. It's just very silly. But I do love it. And I think in a limited format, it is slightly stronger just because it is so huge it requires blocking. But with no trample, with no protection, and with its toughness staying at 7, your opponent can just put stuff in the way. Or just remove it, or just have a creature that's as big as thing is tough and just kill it. But it is very funny. I do like this card. I don't think it's Loperit Scout. Hey, these guys, the guys on the moon. 3 mana for a 3/2. Whenever another creature you control enters, this creature gets +1/+1 till end of turn. Sure, it's not great, but fine. Trisha's Wanderings. Okay, 3 mana. Search your library for a basic land or town card. Put it onto the battlefield. Some ramp. Shuffle. When you search your library this way, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. I mean, 3 mana for a ramp, for an instant speed ramp, and make one of your creatures bigger. This is pretty good, because you can do it in your opponent's turn, in response, make a creature bigger. Yeah, and it goes onto the battlefield tapped. I like this card. This is good. Queena Coup Gourmet. I should not have tried to say that word. Those words. 3 mana for a 2/3. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus a 1/1 green frog creature token are created instead. Sacrifice a frog, this guy gets bigger. Sure, if you've got token generation, this is good. I guess we were making a bunch of Chocobo tokens. And maybe also frogs, and then maybe also this guy gets bigger. Yeah, I don't mind that. I think as long as you're doing token things, you can make this guy decent. Reach the Horizon. 4 mana. Search your library for 2 basic land or town cards with different names. Put them onto the battlefield. Tap, then shuffle. Sure. Double triggers landfall. A Realm Reborn. 6 mana for enchantment. Other permanents you control have add 1 mana of any color. In limited, unless you are doing big stuff specifically, Only in limited. I think this is a very good. This is a very cool card again, but I think in limited, eh. Ride the Shoe Puff. 2 mana enchantment. Whenever a land you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. This is good. And for 7 mana, this enchantment becomes a 7/7 beast creature in addition to its other types permanently. Nice. Yeah, I like this. This is good. Something early you can do. It gives you the starts benefiting you from landfall, which is, I'm assuming, what you're doing in red green. A bunch of landfall things. They're counters. They stay around. So yeah, you just get bigger and bigger, and then this can always become a 7/7 if you've got 7 spare mana later. Rydia's Return. Okay. 5 mana, creatures you control get +3/+3 until end of turn. Sure, but no trample, so meh. And return up to 2 target permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. Sure, this is pretty average. I think this is actually overpriced, but whatever. Zaza I can't say that name. 4 mana for a 3/3. When he enters, search your library for a bird or land card, reveal it and put it into your hand. When he attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, then double the number of +1/+1 counters on that. Okay, yeah, this is another good one. He's gonna allow you to trigger your landfall consistently, so again, and he's also gonna start doing things with +1/+1 counters, like doubling them to give you something big. Yeah. I mean, this +1/+1 stuff is really starting to go. Like, there's a decent chunk of it now. Saz's Chocobo, a 1 mana 1/1. Whenever a land enters, you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Fantastic first card for the landfall deck. If you're doing green-red landfall, you want as many of this card as you can take. Yep, absolutely. Oh. Side quest, Raise a Chocobo. 2 mana, when it enters, create a 2/2. Good, it does something when it enters, we like that. At the beginning of your first main phase, if you control 4 or more birds, transform it into the Black Chocobo. When this permanent transforms into the Black Chocobo, search your library for a land, put it onto the battlefield, triggers your landfall. And whenever a land you control enters, birds get +1/+0 until end. Okay, yep, that's a lot of burden. I like this side quest. If you're doing landfall chocobo things, this is a very good side quest. Like this. Does something when it enters. The reward is good for what you're doing, and it helps itself do what it wants to do. As in, it gives you a land card so you can immediately trigger it. Like it, good. Yep. Summon Fat Chocobo. Rude. He's a little bit big-boned, chat. 5 mana for a 4/4. When he comes in, you create your standard Chocobo token. Cool. And then for the next turn, creatures you control gain trample and 4 damage. Turn after that, creatures you control gain trample and 4 damage. Turn after that, creatures you control gain trample and he dies. If you're doing Chocobo things, why not do as many Chocobo things as you can, right? If I was doing green Chocobo things, I would just take this. Summon Fenrir. 3 mana, 3/2. Present Fang. Search your library for a basic land card, put it into the battlefield, tap and shuffle. More landfall stuff. Then the next turn, when you next cast a creature spell this turn, enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it and 3 damage. And then draw a card if you control a creature with the greatest power, or tied for the greatest power, and then this dies. Okay. Yeah. I mean, again, this is probably more towards the landfall than anything else. Like, I know there's obviously the +1/+1 stuff going on with a couple of these things, but they seem to be all tied together. Green seems to be doing its own little thing in a corner. Like, I'm sure there are other cards that make it good, but green is like, I want to do landfall, I want tokens, I want +1/+1 counters, and I'm going to make everyone better like that. Like, green is definitely doing well for itself. Summon Titan is a 5 mana 7/7 with reach and trample. Right. But when it comes in, you mill 5 cards. Then on turn 2, you return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped and hit your opponent for 7. And then on turn 3, until end of turn, another target creature you control gains trample +X/+X, where X is the number of lands, which is at least 5 if you missed the mill. And this gets sacrificed. I mean, this is really good. There's so many good things for landfall and +1/+1 stuff, right? Man. Okay. Yeah, this is very good. There's a lot of good. Summoner's Grimoire. Oh, for the Summoner class. I never played Summoner. 4 mana for a 1/1. Equipped creature is a shaman edition and has, whenever this creature attacks, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. If that card is an enchantment card, it enters tapped and attacking. I mean, it is a 4 mana 1/1, but I think you just swing with it and just play out another thing, right? You don't really care? I actually don't hate that one. I don't know how good it is. Again, I'm not a big equipment fan, but this could definitely do some things. Tifa, how you doing? 2 mana for a 1/2 with trample and landfall. Whenever a land enters, double her power. Again, all of this landfall is really good. Tifa's Limit Break. 1 mana to give something +2/+2. 3 mana, double target creature's power and toughness until end of turn. 8 mana, triple target creature's power and toughness until end of turn. Wow, okay, sure. This is probably just used to insta somebody, right? This is probably just like cheese immediately kill somebody. Like, your opponent's on 14 life. You swing with Titan. They don't block because they're only going to go down to 7. Tap 3. Actually, you're dead. Right? Like, that's what this card is for. I don't like it, I don't think. Because I don't think it... Like, they give you the whole somersault option. I don't really see you doing that unless you're really losing. I think... And I don't think you final heaven, because I don't think you're going to get to 8 mana, realistically. And just have held this the entire time, so you can just triple something and kill someone. I think you literally are just saving to triple something with trample that's big, or something unblocked that's big enough, and then just blow your opponent out by one-shotting them in a turn. Yeah, okay, sure. I don't like that idea, but sure, I guess that is something that can be done. Torgal, a Fine Hound. 2 mana, 2/2. Whenever you cast your first human creature spell each turn, that creature enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it for each dog or wolf you control. And here's a mana nerd. There are humans, yeah. 1, 2... 3. Okay. Well, there are definitely going to be... There's humans in other colors as well, but there are at least a number of humans that will work for. And he's a mana nerd, so... He's a good pupper. Town Greeter. 2 mana for a 1/1. When it enters, mill 4 cards. Put a land card from among them into your hand. If it's a town card, gain 2 life. Again, I don't know what these town cards are, but sure. This is okay. If you need the lands, sure. Traveling Chocobo. 3 mana for a 3/2. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play lands and cast bird spells from the top of your library. If a land or bird you control entering the battlefield causes an ability of a permanent you control to trigger, the ability triggers an additional. Yeah. This is just the mythic rare for the Chocobo landfall deck, right? That's all this is. Cool. It does everything we need it to do. Yeah. There's no jumping through hoops or nothing interesting. It's just play this, continue playing the game. Now you get more out of it. Sure. This is the other one who combines. So the other one was the black one, and it becomes some crazy thing. Right, so 4 mana for a 3/2 that when it enters, mill 2 cards, then return a permanent card from your graveyard to the hand. At the beginning of your first main phase, if you both own and control the other lady and this one, you can pay 5, and if you do, turn them into a, what was it, 7/6, Menace, Haste, Trample, Lifelink, something else that, when it dies, blows something up and returns something back to your hand, right? So you could use that to return this to your hand, play her, and use her to return the other one to your hand, play the other one, and then just meld them again? Okay. Sure. Right, and that's it, right? Yes. So what do I think of green? Again, I think green doesn't have a massive amount of support cards, but it's just playing with itself. Right? Like, I know that sounds weird, but if we go all the way back, right? Like, this is just a really good big creature. This cares about the birds, and the only thing... We've seen a couple of red cards that do birds, but only like 2, and only one of them was good. This cares about birds and landfall. This cares about birds and landfall. This is +1/+1 counters. This is +1/+1 counters. This is birds. This is +1/+1 counters. This is +1/+1 counters. All bird tokens again. This is anything that searches is all going to be good for landfall. This is +1/+1 counters and landfall. The birds are all landfall as well. This is birds and landfall. 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 This is landfall and +1/+1 counters. This is landfall. This is landfall. Like, +1/+1 counters. Like, for not seeing a massive amount of, you know, +1/+1 or landfall in any, like, white, I don't think we saw +1/+1 counters, but no landfall. Blue, we didn't see either. Black, we didn't see either. Red, we saw a little bit of landfall, and then green has just been like, yeah, all +1/+1 counters, all landfall, all together, all of the time. And I think from a limited standpoint, it's just, there's a lot. Like, there's a lot of... I feel like this is green landfall / chocobos / +1/+1 counters has got enough cards in it that you can kind of be relatively consistent with it, which is really good in limited. So I think as per usual, green is my favorite color, so I like the green cards.